In this episode, we are going to go over most of the important things about a quadratic equation. We're going to go over how to factor, how to find the roots, how to find the vertex, how to find the y-intercept, and how to make more points. And most importantly, make sure you know how to like and subscribe. Let's go! The first thing we're going to find are the roots and zeros. And my students always ask, what is the point of factoring? Why do we even need a factor? One of the uses is to find the roots and zeros. And here's a nice little graphic organizer. First, you need to know your A, B, and C when it's in standard form like this. If that didn't have a number, it's just a 1. So my A is 1, my B is -2, and my C is -3. We're going to use those multiple times. Let's just highlight it so it pops out. And this graphic organizer is used to factor. This is how it's set up. You're going to try to find two numbers that multiply to A times C. That's just 1 times -3, which is -3, and they got to add up to B, and my B is -2. So try to think of two numbers that multiply to AC and the same two numbers that add up to B. And I explained that fast, but I do got a video on it if you want to check it out. Anyways, if this is a negative number right here, then you know that one of the numbers have to be negative. And here's another clue that you got to look for. If this is a -2, then you know the negative number has to be the bigger one. So that's going to be -3 times 1. Those are my two numbers. And as long as this is a 1, if your A, your leading coefficient is a 1, then you can put those into those two binomials right away. X minus 3, X plus 1. Kabam. Super easy. And now we got that factored. To find the roots, just set each one of those parentheses equal to 0 and solve for X. So not too bad. I gave you an easy equation though. I gave you an easy one. X equals 3 and X equals -1. Your roots are the first points we're going to plot, and those are just points that belong on the x-axis right here. I got my point right there, 3 and -1. Let's call this one my root, and let's just use both vocabulary words. Zeros, they mean the same thing. So we're done with A. B, do you guys remember the vertex form? Vertex form, if you forgot, is X equals -B over 2A. And that's why we labeled that also. So we just got to plug in the values, and this is like a super common mistake. Just put the negative, and that negative comes from the formula, and then put an empty set of parentheses. If you do that, you will not miss this double negative that's about to happen. Because my B is not just a 2, it's -2. It's -2. So I'm going to put -2 here, and 2A, my A is 1. Simplify that, that becomes 2 over 2, which equals 1. So that's not a coordinate yet, that is just X equals 1. But once you got an X, we can easily find Y by plugging X in. Plug that in to both of those X's, it'll look like this. Parentheses squared minus 2 times parentheses minus 3. Every time I substitute, I always just replace the variables with parentheses first, and then I put the numbers in. That's going to get me my Y value, so Y equals 1 minus 2 minus 3. Y equals -4. Now I got a coordinate for my vertex. My vertex is 1, -4. Let's plot that somewhere down here. 1, -4. Let's call that my vertex. Alright, moving on. Is the vertex a maximum or a minimum? So your vertex is either the highest point or the lowest point. And obviously if it's in the bottom right here, that is going to be my lowest point. So that is going to be a minimum. What is the y-intercept? The beauty about this format is that it reveals the y-intercept right away. And that is just a constant at the end. So my y-intercept is the same as C, which equals -3. And I can quickly plot that right there. That's my y-intercept. If you wanted to, since the beginning, you could have created any x value you want and make a table of values, but I wanted to go over all these important vocabulary. Let's pick 4 and -2. And again, you can pick any numbers in there, but if you pick certain numbers, your y value might get too big. Let's say I pick 4, right? To get my y value, just plug in 4, kind of like your vertex for x, and that's going to look like 4 squared minus 2 times 4 minus 3, and that equals 5. So now that's another point I can create. 4, 5, kaboom, another point. And you know it's a parabola, right? And I forgot to mention that your vertex is kind of like a mirror. They call this an axis of symmetry. So if I mirror the other point, then that should be 5 as well. That's why I picked -2. Let's plug it in anyways. Y equals parentheses squared minus 2 times parentheses minus 3, -2 in the parentheses. And if you simplify that, you still get 5. Like I said, this is like a mirror. If the right side is the same distance as on the left, then they should land on the same spot. -2 and 5. Plenty of points to make my parabola. I'm going to try my best to connect all those dots. And that's close enough. Let's just pretend that hit right there. So that's pretty much all the basic things you need to know about quadratic equations. And I hope this episode helped. Use it as a review. I made chapters so you can jump to certain parts. If it helped, don't forget to like and subscribe. And just put in the chat whatever other math you need help with. But until then, I will see you on the next episode. Peace!